Welcome to sunny and warm Seattle, where the focus for some is cooling off in the International Fountain at Seattle Center. Seattle Center also the home of Memorial Stadium, where the unbeaten Seattle Reign take on the Boston Breakers in a National Women's Soccer League matchup. Hey, great to have you with us, everyone, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. Well, Leslie, who knew when these two teams kicked off the season just about 3 months ago right here that 15 games in, the Seattle Reign would have a stranglehold on first place in the league and have an unbeaten record?
Well, we knew from last year and the work that Laura Harvey, GM and head coach of the Reign, did in the offseason that they were going to be better. They were close a lot of the time last year. Don't think we thought it was going to be quite this good, and we hope to keep it rolling.
A bit of a downer heading into this game. We thought we would see Megan Rapinoe making her second home performance of the season, her first coming against Boston in that season opener back on April 13th. She's been dealing with a left foot contusion. Played a few days ago at Western New York, had an assist, but another health issue has arisen for her.
Yeah, what a tease this has been. Megan Rapinoe with the great game-winning assist to Jess Fishlock the other night, and now she's back home and we don't get to see her again. But you need to be conservative with someone like her that's been out as long as she has. She's a commodity for the national team and for this Reign team running on a championship. And so you have to be careful with a hamstring injury.
And they will definitely take the cautious approach. In terms of Boston, well, you wouldn't think there'd be any cautious approach tonight. Why not go for it? Only 11 points on the season. In last place, it has been a struggle. So to pull off the upset tonight, their star players will certainly need to rise to the occasion, and that would include Heather O'Reilly.
Yeah, Heyo, she's a bulldog. She's going to get up and down the flank. She's going to cross the ball. She's going to get back and defend, and she's just a tireless worker. And regardless of what their season's going like, it's the reason she's a great stalwart on the national team is that she'll have a positive attitude and be a great team leader for the other players out on the field. And Coach Tom Durkin in his first year has got some work to do to improve this squad. But I think today, like you said, why come out cautiously? They should get after the Reign and try to get a win on the road.
We would expect them to do exactly that. Great to have you with us for the Breakers against the Reign from here in Seattle. Temperatures north of 80 in Seattle on this Sunday. It's been a very nice, all in all, holiday weekend. Hope yours has been terrific as well. Let's take a look at the starting lineup, first of all, for the visiting Boston Breakers, led by head coach Tom Durkin in goal, and she's played every minute in goal for Boston this season. Alyssa Nair, her back line, O'Reilly, Sierra, Pathman, Kat Whitehill, the midfield, DiAgostino, Jones, Sanderson, and Mewis, and up front, Ezerike and Jasmine Reeves, the leading scorer on this Boston club with 5 goals this season. The starting lineup for the Seattle Reign, led by head coach Laura Harvey. In goal, Hope Solo. Defensive line, Lauren Barnes, Ellie Reed, Kendall Fletcher, Stephanie Cox. The midfield, Kim Little, the leading scorer in the National Women's Soccer League with 11 goals, along with Keelan Winters, Jess Fishlock, Bev Goebel. Up front, Naho Kawasumi and Sydney LaRue, the former Boston Breaker, who a season ago scored 11 goals for Boston before her trade, bringing her to Seattle. It was Christy Mewis going the opposite direction. Seattle Reign with an overall record 12 wins, no losses, 3 ties, 39 points. And they are currently, as we speak, up 9 points over second place Kansas City in the National Women's Soccer League. Little heads up for you. Stick around at halftime. We will be joined by the head coach of the U.S. Women's Soccer team, Jill Ellis. So, Leslie, we look forward to having a conversation with her as we are less than a year away from the Women's World Cup 2015 north of the border in Canada.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It's great to have Jill at Memorial Stadium. We came over yesterday and chatted with Laura for a little bit and watched training, and she was down in Portland and saw most of that game the other day, and she's just getting around the league and checking out her players and checking out the other players that have potential of being on that World Cup squad in Canada in 2015.
So we look forward to that chance to catch up and see where things stand with the women's national team with head coach Jill Ellis. Your referee today, Mark Allerton. Assistant referees, Eduardo Maricol, Chapalo Street, and the fourth official is Ray Moffitt Jr. And we are underway at Memorial Stadium. And the Reign not only obviously looking for a victory today, as that Got a little interesting in the 18 with Ezerique trying to put a little early damage on the Seattle defense, unable to finish it up, and Hope Solo will send the ball the other direction.
And as we talked about, the other day, Rapinoe came in the game, ended up having an assist, and the Reign once again fought their way back after being 1-0 down, and on the road, won 2-1. They just keep winning, and even if they're not winning, they can pull a draw with the best of them. They were a little bit disappointed in their last home performance.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of bite to them, no teeth to the attack, really, not a lot of chances, really, for either team, Sky Blue included. So I think today they're going to probably come out a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more up-tempo than they did previously.
Good ball forward to Sanderson, working on Keelan Winters. Cox coming over to provide some support. O'Reilly putting some pressure on the Seattle defense. Into the 18, Sanderson drops it back. O'Reilly with the shot and Solo with the save. And cleared out of danger by Stephanie Cox, so an early test for Hope Solo.
That's a good save by Hope, going to her left, deflects it. Smart not to try to hold it. I think it was hit a little bit too hard. But just the turn and the shot from inside 12 yards, not what the Reign want to be giving up early in the game.
Jasmine Reeves, again with the 5 goals to lead Boston. And a miss hit that time, clearing it out, was Lauren Barnes, and that leads to the first corner of the match.
And as you can see right now, it's a little bit dicey for Hope in there. She's playing with the sun into her eyes. So corners coming from this side, balls coming in the air from this side are going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Jones with the corner, the outswinger. Not exactly what she had in mind. Goal kick for Seattle. And when you're a significant underdog like Boston is, you really want to take advantage and make the most of your set pieces. So missed opportunity there to maybe put Solo under a little bit more pressure.
Absolutely. You know, and right off the bat, we talked about it a little bit in the pregame, is they have nothing to lose. They should be coming out to press, be aggressive, get forward, and take as quick advantage of the Reign as they possibly can. Because as you've seen, if you don't get up on the Reign early, or if you don't get up on them at all, you really don't have a chance, because they're calm, composed, consistent, and they'll play all 90 minutes and always give themselves a chance to get a point out of the game. Speaking of Kansas City, I think they're romping Sky Blue as we speak. It was 4-0 last I saw.
That was about 30 minutes in, so very impressive performance for the second place team in the NWSL. Kawasumi, the intended target. Well defended by the Breakers. And Jess Fishlock, who had that game-winning goal in New York on Wednesday, playing it forward. A very nice ball to Kim Little. Little with a cutback. Goebel had a great opportunity, couldn't get the head on it.
What an outstanding ball by Kim Little, not to be outdone by the ball that was played to her by Jess Fishlock. You always talk to players about going through different channels than the ball travels through, and you saw Jess look up, play the ball on one side of the Breaker defender. Kim ran around the other side of her and got a perfect cross off. Bev Goebel would love to have that one back. We've seen her put that one on frame before. Great chance for the Reign.
Bev Goebel had hoped that would be her 4th goal of this season. And she also scored on Wednesday back at Western New York.
And this is a part of the Reign game that we've seen that has been much improved from last year. Their restarts have been much more dangerous. They've been much more focused.
Kawasumi.
And they've got quite a number of goals out of an outstanding ball by Kawasumi.
Kendall Fletcher with a left foot.
Good save by Nair.
And another corner coming up for Seattle.
It's great composure by Kendall Fletcher on the back post to take that ball down and get it on frame. That's what you want out of a restart, to force another restart or a save by the keeper. And great job by Alyssa Nair to get up and tip that over the bar.
Nair with a goals against average of 2.13, one shutout this season. Kawasumi to the other corner for this opportunity.
She doesn't float it, she doesn't drive it, she does something just in between when she tries to hit it far post, and it's a really dangerous ball.
Drop to Fishlock, the drive.
Another great save by Alyssa Nair, and well struck by Fish.
That's about as well as you can strike a ball. Jess Fishlock going near post. And a third corner coming up for the Reign.
The only thing I would add on Boston's part is that's twice in a row that a Seattle Reign player, first Fletcher and now Fishlock, had time to bring a ball down, get composed, and get a clean strike. They've got to get out to it and do a better job of defending.
Fishlock playing it in. Goebel defended that time. Very nice ball by Cox ahead to Fishlock. Fletcher was in the area, but the Breakers clear it out. Ezerique was looking for Reeves, and Seattle will restart the offensive end.
That was a good little flurry there by the Reign. A couple of great chances, a couple of great saves by Alyssa Nair.
Cox keeps it in. O'Reilly tracks it down.
A little bit of a new look, I think, for the Breakers with O'Reilly playing out of the right back spot.
Reeves. Barnes got a foot on it. Sanderson. Christy Mewis trying to draw the corner instead of Boston throw in.
Good patience there by Ellie Reed to just keep her outside.
Good early action here in Seattle in the 7th minute. First place versus last place. Reign against the Breakers. Little playing it out to LaRue. And a corner coming up for the Breakers. That'll be their second. You know, one of the things we've talked about throughout the season in terms of the Reign, the unbeaten record, it's the lack of satisfaction that they have had overall in terms of their inability, really, Leslie, to put together 90 or very close to a complete 90 minutes of soccer. So they've raised the bar on themselves in terms of their expectations. Fishlock heading it out. Sanderson, the low drive, the deflection. And the flag is up offside against Boston. Both teams getting some pretty good looks early on.
Absolutely, and fortunate that ball played into a crowd by Sanderson is smart, because Hope's not going to have a chance, one, to see it, and then it can take a deflection as it did. But you can see Hope's cat-like reflexes. She got up, got back going the other way, and regardless of being offside, she still made the save.
And you can see the Breakers putting pressure on Seattle.
Yep, they're pressing. They're not going to let them play out, not going to let them have it at the back. It'll be interesting to see how much possession Seattle can get in the front half of the field. Great run by LaRue. Great ball by Steph Cox. Mexican international Bianca Sierra. Great player out of the University of Auburn University down in Alabama. Just traded by the Washington Spirit. Tough, tenacious defender.
Boston's last match, by the way, against Washington Wednesday. That was a high-scoring affair, a 3-3 draw, on Boston getting 2 of its goals on PKs in the first 6 minutes, both from Heather O'Reilly. Kawasumi.
Another great ball by Naho.
Defensively headed away that time by the Breakers. Well done. Out to Reeves.
The type of ball that's getting delivered on the corners is outstanding. The thing I'm not seeing on the corners that I saw earlier in the season is a little bit more movement and more mobility off the ball to get in and around that second ball and get another chance out of it. First 2 corners you saw that, and then this last one not as much mobility.
And it'll be a Seattle throw-in. Good defensive pressure by LaRue, that time on Sierra. Kawasumi into Little. And Kim Little can create some opportunities here. You see the move, and Goebel almost able to get on the end of that one again. Nice creativity by Kim Little to free herself up for that service.
Well, just another thing in a long line of things that makes Kim Little special. The fact that she had a defender draped all over her back to goal and still ends up facing, getting in line, and serving a picture-perfect ball across the 3-4 yard line. Again, Bev Goebel maybe leaves her feet and sticks a body part on the end of that. That's a goal.
Keelan Winters with a header.
This is where Seattle's going to want to hold the ball a little bit more. Middle third to front third. This is where they can get a rhythm. This is where they can get a tempo. That's not a ball that Steph needs to play from there. I think from half field, while their back four are set, she needs to just look to play it into the midfield and keep it a little bit and make Boston chase. What I've noticed from their defensive shape so far is they're playing kind of a 3 lopsided back with Heo playing, I'm not sure, in the right back, right wing position. Bianca Serra's got a lot of space to cover, so if they're playing a 3-5-2, there's going to be space for them to exploit. Heo can run, but to ask her to do that much running on both sides of the ball is interesting.
Try to wear her out early, or at least begin that process, and hopefully render her less effective late in the match if it's still tight. Last foul, by the way, was on Courtney Jones. Kendall Fletcher looking for Cox. Very nice pass and a good touch to Kawasumi. Naho to LaRue. And defended away nicely by Boston that time, Kat Whitehill.
Seattle doing a good job of delaying and letting Steph Cox get back and recover. Easy win for them to get the ball back.
And that'll be a foul on O'Reilly.
And that's not a smart giveaway to give them the ball back right there. She wasn't going anywhere. She hadn't turned really. Maybe send a little bit of a physical message easy in the game, but to give the Reign the ball back in the front third of the field to give them possession, unnecessary. So the big thing will be for Seattle is to weather the storm, one, and see how much Boston has in the gas tank. You know, if they can keep the pressure up, if they can keep physically pushing and pressing.
Goebel, beautiful ball. Kawasumi looking to cut it back. The shot, and Nair again with the save.
Another outstanding save by Alyssa Nair. She's on today, already showing that it's not going to be easy to put one past her. But there again, you see that ball that gets played in behind. Heather O'Reilly defending and having to recover, facing her own goal. I just think their shape is out of sorts.
Already the 5th corner for Seattle. We are in the 13th minute of this match. Keep an eye on Winters, very good with her head in these situations. Number 11 for the Reign. And Kawasumi sending it over the end line. Goal kick for Nair. Nice crowd here this afternoon in Seattle. Expecting the 4th largest turnout for a Reign game this season. Their first year calling Memorial Stadium home. A crowd of about just under, in fact, 6,000 a week ago Saturday for the scoreless draw against Sky Blue.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of the Elite Club National League youth girl players were in town for the regional nationals. And they showed up in force and were treated to a lot of great players. No goals, but I think they definitely enjoyed the venue and the fact that they got to take a break on their day off and come watch a pro team play and see a lot of national team players in action.
Those tournaments can wear you out in a hurry.
Yeah.
Especially get that early 8 o'clock game. Here's Little. Looking for Kawasumi.
I mean, 2 choices she had there, the against the grain ball to play to Sid, who made a great run inside the box, or that ball in behind to Nahu. I'm not sure was ready for it, but Kim Little, you just see the decisions she makes. They're so different level.
LaRue nearly getting a right foot to it. In fact, did. It was off of Sydney. And a very nice look from Nahomi Kawasumi.
Great ball by Naho right across the 4 or 5 yard line off the goal there. And Sid does well to leave her feet and stretch for it with her right foot. Just doesn't get it quite soon enough to get it on frame, but good effort all around. I think regardless of the opponent, the Reign have already come out with a lot more attacking energy than they had in the last game. They've knocked the ball around well. They've obviously not let Boston really string too many passes together. And now you can see them settling into their rhythm and just trying to figure out a way to break them down. And the biggest thing they have to figure out is how to get one past Nair.
She's certainly brought her A game so far tonight. It was interesting in talking to head coach Laura Harvey and some of her players after that Sky Blue game. It was a draw. They remained unbeaten, but their self-assessment, not a happy one. Nair! Boy, just got enough of that one off the left foot from Bev Goebel. The way they viewed that performance was as if they had lost 3-0.
Yeah, and if you look at that one, that's what Alyssa Nair doesn't want to do. She doesn't want to make the great saves that she's made, and then I think maybe not even over dive, but what she tried to do there was pull the ball in too quickly, and you never want to do that. You want to catch it and go through it and get it past the post if you're going to drop it. She tried to pull it in, and she's lucky that that one wasn't a soft goal that snuck by her. She's played too well up to this point to let that kind of goal in.
Lou Barnes, who missed that game against Sky Blue, we were referring to a week ago Saturday with a glute strain, returned and just a brief appearance on Wednesday against Western New York. So good to see her back in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
that defensive line's been outstanding this season.
Lou and Kendall Fletcher have been outstanding, and Kate Dynas, to be honest, came in and played 3 games in a row, and they were solid at the back. It all goes to the depth of this team, the moving parts that they have when international duty is called. The Reign still have a team you can put on the field and win games, and so that's been great. But Lou and Kendall Fletcher have been outstanding all year. Their back line has been outstanding.
Yeah, it's interesting, the top 2 goalies in terms of goals against average are both on the Seattle roster. Hope Solo, .83 goals allowed per game, and Haley Kopmeyer, who saw 3 games of action, .33. So that's not only a testament to those 2 keepers, but certainly to that back 4 that played in front of them. Fishlock. Well defended that time by Mewis.
I'd say the other thing the Reign need to look to do when you see balls in the midfield, their midfield to final third play, and I think this is what you were talking about earlier, Tom, why they haven't felt like they put a great 90 minutes together. They're going to be able to play balls behind other teams, there's no doubt. They've got speed in LaRue, they've got great speed up front with their other players as well. But I don't think they need to go for the home run ball. They can combine like no other team. If they would just simply continue to combine, be picky and patient outside of 30 yards, I think they can get more tap-in goals, to be honest with you. They're that good. I do think they get just a teeny tiny bit complacent, kind of going for the big ball like there, and that's not something that they need to do. I think they could play teams off the park if they were just patient and did it more minutes of the game than I feel like they currently are, if that makes sense.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So if they take that approach, you find success, you get yourself up a goal or 2, that puts pressure obviously on the opponent to get even more aggressive in an attack mode, and that's when you can counter with some of those bigger balls and make them pay.
And that's when it opens the game up. And I think, the Reign, you talked about before the expectations, and I apologize to some of the players and to Laura after the last broadcast, because I was disappointed because I've seen how great they can play, and I think we all expect to see these outstanding 90-minute entertaining performances.
O'Reilly.
And this is where O'Reilly's dangerous. Great defending by Ellie Reed.
Nice service by O'Reilly as she was looking for Ezerique. Shot, goal! Boston! What a strike that time by Courtney Jones. And the complexion of this match changes just like that. Courtney Jones putting it home, her 3rd goal this season.
Yeah, and from distance. I mean, that was a good 30 yards out from goal. I don't know at what point Hope saw it, but it was late. And if we see this again, and this is a great angle for this one, and it even dips a little bit. I'm not sure if it hit someone and deflected. It didn't. But just not ready and no pressure on the ball. That's a free strike from distance. And we've seen this before, too. We've seen the Reign go down a goal, and now game has to be on.
Courtney Jones in the 19th minute, giving Boston 1-0 advantage over the league leading Seattle Reign. Terrific strike that time by Jones. Goebel.
Outstanding ball by Bev.
Kawasumi. And unable to make the connection with Stephanie Cox. She found herself in the 18 coming up from her defensive left back position. Winners down. And that'll be a foul against Boston. Free kick situation for Seattle.
Yeah, and I'd say, too, this goes back to, again, the Reign don't need to try to get it all back at once. There's plenty of time left in the game. They need to do, I think what they were trying to do there is, be more aggressive in the attack, but still with some kind of patience and composure, because they're technical, tactical, and skillful enough to be able to do that and build numbers and, again, play around Boston as opposed to try to play right through them all the time.
Kim Little. Headed by Fletcher. Nothing on that to worry Alyssa Nair. Well, certainly, from what we've seen from Seattle, the ability to make comebacks this year, this will not rattle them.
Nope.
It's early, a lot of time, and they've done this on numerous occasions.
And credit Boston. You know, they're playing hard. They're swarming numbers around the ball, and they're getting quite a few turnovers.
U.S. that time looking for Sanderson, English international.
And so when the Reign lose the ball, they're a little bit loose and having a hard time getting pressure on the ball. And Boston are finding themselves with inside 25 yards from the goal pretty quickly in just a few passes.
Haley Reed. Molly Pathman that time, denying Kawasumi the pass.
Molly Pathman, great rookie out of Duke University, U20 national team champion and player. And a kid that's just a tireless worker that, you know, you love to see kids like that as rookies be successful in the league.
Boy, terrific touch that time on the pass by Fishlock to Reed. And the U.S. getting the ball under control. Sanderson. Here's Reeves. Running into and plowing Cox down. Good job defensively by Stephanie. Kendall Fletcher surveys the field. And if you're just joining us, we'll have Jill Ellis with us at halftime, the head coach of the U.S. women's national team, as we talk countdown to World Cup 2015 in Canada. Speaking of, Sydney LaRue with the throw-in, of course, out of British Columbia, but a member of the U.S. squad. Speaking of the national team, Stephanie Cox would love to have one more World Cup run left in her.
Yeah, there's a lot of players, I think, that are in that boat, and that's the job that Jill has to do, and she'll speak a lot about that. This is what they need to do here. Patience, great ball out wide, great numbers in the box.
Nice ball, defended away. Well done by the Breakers that time, and Pathman buys her club some time. Check it, that was D'Agostino, not Molly Pathman.
That was a great build-up by the Reign to get wide, to get a great ball across the box with good numbers forward. I think the Reign need to take a little bit of a look at where Heo is playing. I know Heather O'Reilly wants to get forward in the attack, and she's trying to defend from that spot she's playing in, which is kind of I don't know what you call it. It's like a somewhere between a 2 and a 7. She's running up and down this right flank, and there's a hole over there. And so if they can catch her out and sort of punish them on the left side of the Reign field here, I think they're going to get more opportunities.
Fishlock, Little, and Little fouled by D'Agostino.
I feel like this is far enough out here. I hope they just put the ball down and play it instead of playing a big, 50-50 ball.
And Cox throwing it up into the box, and
I think that same. I mean, Steph Cox can whip that ball in with their left foot, but why? I really feel they sell themselves a little bit short when they do that instead of just put it down and try to play around the breakers.
Jones, the goal scorer, on the ball. Reeves, very nice ball over to O'Reilly. Breakers flood the box. Fletcher getting ahead on it. Winners as well. Maybe a chance here for Seattle to counter. But Jones beating Fishlock to the ball as Jess hits the deck.
I think that's a good no call. Shoulder charge off the ball. The Boo Birds in Seattle don't think so, but I think that was well done by the referee. Seattle's still in possession, though.
'26th minute in Seattle. Jones scoring the beautiful right-footed strike in the 19th minute from distance. Give Boston the lead.
Yeah, one of the things that would be good to see here from the Reign is to give the back line of Boston a little bit more trouble. And again, Bianca Sierra just coming into this team. Their lineups have been not overly consistent. Nair is going to be tough to get one by. But just to be a little bit more mobile, sort of east to west or side to side, if you will, to get out of their vision, to move more, to drag them out of position, to let Kim Little run in behind from the 10 spot. That mobility going from the middle third to the front third is a way that I think Seattle could be very effective against the back line of Boston to drag them out of shape.
And a little bit of a go for broke ball that time by Barnes, costing Seattle possession. Whitehill returning the favor as Solo will track that down. Sanderson with room, the strike. And the goal kick for Solo coming up. She had good reason to at least give that one a go.
Yeah, that's a bad giveaway by Seattle, and just a little bit of lack of focus there and a little bit lackadaisical trying to build out of the back. If they could get back to being a little bit more up-tempo these last 15, 20 minutes of the half, back to where they were in about the first 10 minutes when they had the flurry of corner kicks and attacking chances, I think they'd like to go into half at least level.
LaRue is hoping to flick it on to Winners. Goebel's there. Comes O'Reilly. And flag up offside. In Boston coming into this match, 3 wins, 10 losses, 2 ties, 11 points, 20 goals scored. Now 21, and they've allowed 32 on the season. For Seattle, the record of 12 wins, no losses, 3 draws, 39 points, 31 goals scored, just 11 allowed coming in, and obviously now 12 with the Jones strike in the 19th minute.
And what are we, 2/3 of the way through the regular season?
9 games left, yeah, 15 in, 9 to go.
And to be winning as much as they have and to play as many minutes as a lot of players have had is the expectations. Great run by Steph Cox and a great ball by Bev Goebel.
Good defense that time by Courtney Jones, shielding Cox away from the ball. You're right, very nice touch by Bev Goebel.
So just the wear and tear, the expectations are certainly high, but you also have to cut all of these teams, including Boston. You have to cut them some slack. What they do as far as travel in this league, the minutes that they've played, 2 games in a week, and it's a lot to ask to perform at top level. So if you can always hang around and be close and give yourself a chance to get a point or 3 points out of it, you're doing a good job, because at the end of the day, what matters is that you perform during playoff time.
Down for the Breakers. You touch on the travel, Leslie. This is their 5th of 7 straight away games. So they haven't had any home cooking for a while.
Yep. And, and to see them up 1-0 on the team at the top of the table right now, certainly Coach Tom Durkin has to be pleased.
Elon Sanderson coming from behind on Goebel.
Sanderson's not going to back down. She's a physical presence. She's someone that you notice on this team and tends to be one of the more impactful players and consistent players.
4 goals and 1 assist this season for Leanne Sanderson. Mentioned earlier, Remember the English national team. Ball played ahead. LaRue the intended target.
Great job by Bianca Serra, backing up, winning the ball, going forward. Again, a little bit of that big ball with the back four set. I don't think it's the way that you want to try to beat this team.
Cox chasing it down.
And now they're still looking to press. Deep on the throw-in, Boston pushing up towards the 18.
And you have to like that goal hasn't changed their mentality.
Well, and the rain give it right back to them, and now they're still down in their half.
Kawasumi looking for Little. Fishlock. Bev Goebel, who along with Kawasumi on loan from Japan this season.
Good patience by Bev to get turned there and get going forward.
Well, miscommunication that time between Winters and I think Little. Keelan anticipated maybe Kim making a run at that point.
Well, and as we've seen this team all season, the rain tend to go as Kim Little goes. And if you don't see Kim Little in and around the ball, setting the tempo, setting the pace, setting the attacking style that they play, the game's going to be a little bit tougher for them. So at this point in the game, I would try to find her as much as possible. She's already shown that she can play under pressure. 2-3 people come to her. She's now making more runs forward to try to get in behind the forward line. But the less you see Kim Little on the ball, the less effective the rain tend to be.
Kelly Reed on the ball right now. Nice find, Kawasumi. Two teammates in the box, and it will result in another rain corner, number 6 here in the first half.
A little bit of a wind will blow this away from the goal probably. Other than one corner, Kawasumi's been great with her service. Little under 15 left to play. This would be a great time for the rain to bury one. I call Fletcher in a flip.
Fletcher and the flip.
Yep.
All right, we'll see. Kendall Fletcher very good in the air along with Winters and Goebel.
Time it right. She hangs back post. Nobody's on her.
LaRue beaten to the ball by Whitehill. And it'll be another corner for the rain, number 7. First to the ball, critical in these set piece situations, and that time it was Whitehill first to the ball.
Kat Whitehill, longtime national team player, extending her career, has been a player coach for this
LaRue again, and again,
this club.
Whitehill. Fishlock with a left foot. And a goal kick for Alyssa Nair.
Haley Kopmeyer, backup keeper on the bench, pleading her case for a tipped ball, showed a little energy.
Now Haley, a former collegiate teammate at Michigan with Ezerike, number 22 for Boston, a rookie, former Wolverine.
And Ezerike having a great rookie year as well. Boston's got some great young talent on their team. They just don't have the depth.
Ezerike, the number 8 overall selection in the recent college draft. Oh, well defended that time by Reeves. Throw in for Seattle. 34th minute, Memorial Stadium at Seattle Center. For those of you not familiar with the area, we are literally about a 3-minute walk from the Space Needle. A lot of activity here every weekend at Seattle Center here in Seattle.
Yeah, I'd like to see Seattle, that ball that Ellie Reed just played there. You see they're trying to get in behind Boston on some, they're a little bit vertical, the passes, to be honest, and a lot of them are in the air instead of on the ground. I think they can play into Sid's feet. I think they can play into Kim's feet or Goebel's feet or Naho's feet, and then combine off that first person to touch it or spin themselves if they're within range. I think that has to be just a little bit better in the build-up for Seattle, because they're, like you said before, they're going for broke a little bit on their final pass.
Keelan Winters A drop to Fletcher. Here's Little. Looking ahead to Kawasumi. Keeps it alive as Nair came out of goal. Cleared out by Pathman, allowing Nair to reset herself inside the 6-yard box. That ball was off of Goebel.
And again, Sanderson not backing down. She goes into that full-blown tackle, wins the throw-in. She's not someone you want to go in halfway with in a challenge for a ball. And all of soccer, to me, looks like it hurts now. I can't believe I used to play this game. It just looks painful.
Now, Keelan Winters would agree with you. She's probably, as much as any Reign player this season, been dinged and banged up. And that's even taking into account Megan Rapinoe. Megan's missed a lot of games, so she hasn't had to face some of the pain that Keelan Winters has.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch from this viewpoint. Even that ball that came around to Steph Cox is Jess Fishlock is playing up a little bit higher. Kim Little is kind of floating off to the wing and just going wherever she wants to go. And their shape in the midfield, I think they're having a hard time finding anything centrally. You know, the last game we talked about them being so narrow and not getting out wide, and they've gotten wide and had some crosses today, but they have to be able to get wide, spread them wide, and then find a place to come back to the center once you have them spread to be able to attack down the middle. And I feel like their shape in the midfield is a little bit off right now.
And if you joined us after the first 7 or 8 minutes of this match, terrific keeping by Alyssa Nair, preventing Seattle from not scoring once, a couple of times.
I'd say 4 quality chances on goal.
Here's Little.
Great turn by Little to get going forward. And even there, Jess is out here on the sideline and Keelan is over to her right. She doesn't really have that support player underneath, so she's having to try to turn on her own. Instead of hold it up, get it back, somebody else plays it forward. With Winters, Fishlock, and Little in the middle, that should 100% of the time be the strength of your team.
O'Reilly with a throw-in coming up. Jones. Reeves. Sanderson. Looking for Mewis. And picking up a little bit here in the latter stages of the first half, so that is certainly something that the players will need to deal with, especially on longer balls that they play, trying to factor that in. Austin with the lead, getting the goal in the 19th minute from Courtney Jones. LaRue with some space. Drops to Fishlock. Haley Reed.
It's a great place for them to set play.
Reed thinking about it. LaRue taken down. Shot by Reed, no. Little getting it back. And there, right there. Sydney LaRue shaken up just a bit. As she
great
limps
little
out of
flick
the 18.
inside while Sid was posted up by Ellie Reed, and she did a great job to turn. Pulled her leg back a little far. I think the defender got her foot in there. I don't know that it would have been a foul or a call, but definitely looked like there was contact and it prevented her from getting a clean look at it.
Almost. Bev Goebel with that pass a little more on it. It would have gotten to Kawasumi in a very dangerous position for the Breakers. Fishlock.
You know, we know from last year, and we haven't seen it as much this year, she's coming from more of the 6'8" spot and coming from deeper on the field. But we know that the number 10 for the Seattle Reign, the Welsh captain, Jess Fishlock, can score from distance. So if she gets a clean look in and around the top of the box.
Let that one go through for LaRue, trying to create a shot. Kawasumi, the good touch to Reed. And Ellie unable to deliver a quality service.
I don't know if someone was calling for that one or not, but in and around the top of the box, it reminds you a little bit of the Belgian game when Michael Bradley let that one run across the 18. And I think in a position here, yeah, that was a foul.
Yeah.
Looking on the replay, it definitely looks like she got her on the left foot as she was going to take a shot with her right. We were just talking about Fish, and I would have liked to see her have a crack at that one because we know she can score from distance. It's a good pass in by Cox. Bev needs to clean it up a little bit, hold possession for her team up front.
Let me ask you this. We mentioned that Jill Ellis, head coach of the national team for the United States, is here. Obviously, the players know that. Those that hope to be part of that World Cup squad, does that play on you a little bit? Does that get in your head a little bit sometimes? Or is that easy at this level professionally? Once you start playing, you're playing and you don't even think about that.
Well, if I was out there and I knew she was here, it wouldn't get in my head personally, Donna, but it does, and she's talked about that. There's a lot of times she'll go to games and she won't even tell players that she's showing up, just not to add the extra, the pressure to it or whatnot. But the team does know she's here today because they saw her yesterday at training and she's talked to a few players.
Kawasumi.
Good patience there.
Finds Goebel.
Another great ball. Seattle's knocking on the door. So it does. It is. They know she's here and they know that they're a year out and they're working hard to try to, one, get their contracts re-upped or assigned as far as what level they're going to be assigned. And, it's crunch time for our U.S. women's national team to get on that 2015 squad.
Throw in for Seattle.
So it's a final. Sky Blues 0, Kansas City 5. So 3 points for FC Kansas City.
That takes Kansas City to 33 points as things stand right now. 6 points behind Seattle, pending the outcome of this match. Oh, Kawasumi, great touch. Goebel!
Great save by Nair. And that's the type of combination play I'm talking about. They're skillful enough. When they're mobile, they've got great finishers on their team, and they can create chances like that, in my opinion, all day long. They just need to stick to it and get back to it. And again, it's going to be tough to score on Alyssa Nair. She's having a blinder today.
Boy, terrific job by Nair. 8th corner coming up for Seattle. LaRue. Throw in for the Reign. Goebel with space. Headed a little, couldn't quite get there. Looked like that was O'Reilly who broke that up defensively.
Great job by Naho to slow Christy Mewis down. Since the goal, really, to be honest, there hasn't been a lot of looks for Boston in the final third.
44th minute. Fletcher was looking for Fishlock, couldn't get enough juice on it. Here comes Sanderson. And Reeves is onside, Solo coming out. Box empty, goal empty. And recovery by Seattle by Fletcher.
Yeah, good job of Hope coming off her line. I think she could have gotten there a teeny tiny bit earlier, but she's great on the field, and she came out and played like a straight up defender there and did well to pick that one off.
Into the 45th minute. Would not think we'd have much added time, maybe a minute. Here's Reeves, trailed by Cox. Mewis switching it back over to Sanderson, guarded by Barnes. Sanderson off the crossbar. And Seattle escaping a 2-goal deficit, heading into the locker room. Take a look at Leanne Sanderson. Would not be denied a quality shot that time, just a little too high. And a corner opportunity, the third in the first half, coming up for the Breakers.
Yeah, the Breakers have shown they're fast enough, they can counter well enough, and when they catch Seattle out, they're dangerous enough. And we talked about it in the pregame. If you're them, that's how you come out. You go for broke, nothing to lose, get forward, press, 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 force Seattle into mistakes. And they go into half with a 1-0 lead.
1-0 Boston. It very easily could have been 2-0 with that Sanderson shot. Of course, Seattle would counter if not for, and that's a big if, Alyssa Nair, who had an outstanding first half of the Breakers in goal. We might be looking at 2-2 or 3-2. It's really been an entertaining first half of soccer here in Seattle.
Yeah, and as those restarts start to build up, you know, the Seattle's got to look at those and think, how can we be more dangerous on our corners? How can we put one of those away?
Jill Ellis will be joining us in a few moments. We'll take a brief break here in Seattle. Hang tight. We'll be joined momentarily by the head coach of the U.S. Women's National Team. And we'll talk all things soccer with Coach Ellis coming up from Seattle, where the Breakers lead the Reign at the half, 1-0. Welcome back to Seattle Memorial Stadium. Boston with a 1-0 lead over the Seattle Reign. Great to have you with us and great to have alongside. We really appreciate her time, the head coach of the U.S. Women's National Team, Jill Ellis. And before I let Leslie have at you, break down what you saw in the first half here.
Well, I mean, Alyssa Nair was spectacular and obviously kept them in the game. And, you know, in Boston, you've got to credit the game plan. I mean, they've got three very athletic players. They look to counter, and they've been a handful for Seattle's back line. But I think, you know, Seattle just needs to continue to be patient and find the width. You know, they've had a lot of good opportunities.
But one of the things I talked about, Jill, was not only find the width, but when they found the width, I feel like their shape a little bit in the middle is lacking. I think Kim's getting forward, but too early and too far away from the ball. I think their midfield shape, once they spread them wide, they have to have that outlet in the middle so that they can attack centrally, because they're spreading Boston plenty enough. But I think, that for them and combining through the middle is on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Little's pushed high up onto their back line, and I mean, either one of the holding mids needs to come into that space and support it, definitely. But again, I mean, it's a competitive game, and I think Boston is playing it right as far as coming into this arena and playing a very successful team that's good in possession. They're just disrupting their rhythm.
Definitely.
It really speaks to the league when you've got a team at 39 points coming in, one with 11,
right.
And you see the quality that we saw in the first half in terms of very balanced performance by both clubs.
It is. I mean, I think that there is a lot of parity, from top to bottom in the league, and I mean, certain teams. Obviously, Seattle's been the most consistent team, and I think at this point, that's been the successful factor in this team, is they've been steady in their results and steady in their play. But other teams on any day, I think, can beat the other team, certainly, and we've seen that.
Well, let's shift gears and talk about a year from now. Just north of us in Canada, there's going to be a little event called the Women's World Cup 2015 taking place,
right.
And you'll be at the helm for the first time, the head woman in charge of our U.S. national team. What's happening right now, and what goes on from right now, building forward to that and trying to win our next World Cup?
Well, I mean, certainly it's evaluation and preparing. Initially, we've got to get through qualifying, right? So that's our focus. We haven't been able to have the players together too much, obviously, because they're in the league play. But I mean, for me, it's getting around right now. The month of July is going out and watching as much as I can. We have a game in August, and then a brief camp in September, and then we go into qualifiers. So right now, that's kind of the focus of trying to select. We need 20 for our qualifying roster.
And then in the NWSL, or even outside of the NWSL, for players possibly playing in Europe or other players that you're evaluating, are there dark horses out there, do you think, or do you think you pretty much know the group you're picking from?
I mean, I certainly know the group, but I'm open-minded. I think you have to be as a coach. You always have to look for players that their performance bubbles up, and and they've shown some things. So, I mean, I think for me, I'm very familiar with a lot of these players, and obviously know a lot of their strengths. We've got a good mixture of youth and experience, and I think definitely we'll tap into that. But always very open to looking at players that are in form.
Great.
What's it been like since you've been on the job? I mean, it's still relatively new. That was obviously a very intriguing process. Does Jill want the job? Will she take the job if offered the job? Talk about what was so appealing, obviously, for you to decide that, yes, this is something you wanted to do.
I mean, it's something I've always wanted, to be honest with you. And I think at some point you can't always pick the timing. I'd been in the youth game for a long time as far as with the youth teams, and obviously know the level of players coming behind. But I think for me, it's always been a dream. And I like the fact that we're only a year out from the World Cup. It allows the focus to be spot on, and you get to business pretty quickly. So, for me, it was never something I didn't want. It was just sometimes trying to pick the right moments. And again, I finally decided you can't always pick that. You've got to go for it. And I'm extremely delighted and very proud.
And I could speak to the players are excited as well. I mean, I think you look at a roster of players who they want to win, and they know, just based on Jill being in and around the U.S. national team for as long as she has, that she does know them. But she's going to challenge them, and she's going to make them better, and she's the right person for the job right now, for sure. I was going to ask you, Jill, so stepping away from your technical director position in the youth game, where you and April Heinrichs have really, from the U14 age group all through the 20s and the 23s, have done a great job over the last 4 years or so of developing a program that feeds our national team in a consistent manner, much like I would say like a Germany has for years. What part do you play in that now, or do you just kind of take the year and say, you know what, I've got to let go of some of that and let other people do it? And
very much so. Yeah, I mean, I can't possibly do both at this point. I mean, I feel like I have still a good connection, obviously, there, and know these players. But over the time that April and I've been hired, we've been able to hire full-time coaches with our 20s, with our 17s. We've got 3 more positions that we're going to be filling. So the infrastructure is growing. The people on the ground are there, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. So, I mean, this has to be my laser focus right now. And
let's talk about my boyfriend. I like to call him a little bit, Jurgen Klinsmann.
Okay.
Just off the World Cup.
Jurgen aware of
this? He doesn't. It doesn't matter. I don't care if he does or not. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Talk about the World Cup, the Men's World Cup a little bit, and what the U.S. just did in Brazil, and your thoughts on that and where American soccer is.
Well, I think initially, just as a fan, very proud. I mean, they were in an exceptionally difficult spot, obviously being in that group. So, I kind of reflect on the game against Portugal. I think that was the game where, we outplayed one of the better teams, and, so I think that was a very good moment. And certainly, I think Jurgen's done a great job, as far as, one of the things I looked at in his process is he evaluated so many players. I mean, players that I wasn't even that familiar with, that he gave opportunities to. And, I think he really did his homework. And as far as the World Cup, I think it was a successful accomplishment to get out of the group, and almost 6 yards out, put one away, and we could have been in the quarters, right?
Yeah. And are you hinting at the fact you're looking at players that have 2 passports also? Or?
No, I like the Americans. I'm good.
I wanted to ask you back to the women's game. In terms of looking ahead, will it be next year the usual suspects when we talk about the Women's World Cup? We talk about Brazil, obviously, right. Japan, the U.S. squad. Canada has had some quality teams. Or is there somebody about to kind of jump up into that group and say, hey, look at us, we can contend?
Yeah, I mean, you have to obviously put Germany in there, because I think, yes. Right now they're they've kind of ridden the youth movement, they've gained experience, and they're very, very good. But, I've said this, and I know France has been knocking, but I mean, France to me is a team that's got the technique, got the athleticism, different coach, slightly different way they organize, but, I think they're a team that I would rate them in the top 4. I think they're very, very gifted, and, the self-belief, I think, is there now with them. So. But yeah, I mean, I think, the interesting thing about this World Cup, obviously going to more teams and having more teams in it, I think there will be some growing, as far as maybe some lopsided results. But overall, for the benefit of our game, I mean, it's tremendous that we've added teams. And again, I mean, our game is much like the men. On any given day, any team can be successful.
Let's talk about qualification a little bit. Canada automatically qualifies as the host nation. Besides Mexico and Canada, who in CONCACAF can give the United States trouble?
Well, I mean, they've gone through some pre-qualifying, but obviously Costa Rica, Jamaica, Trinidad, those are usually the other teams and the other suspects in the qualifiers. I mean, I'm excited because it's going to be the longest I will be with this team, actually in qualifiers together, and try to start to see some things. And we've started to layer some things in. But, again, I mean, our focus in qualifying will be on us, but the interesting thing that CONCACAF presents when you play some of these countries is they will sit in, so it gives us different challenges, and it makes us work on some things that we will need going forward as far as breaking teams down.
Talk about one thing tactically that when you came in and took this job, having seen them and been watching them over the last maybe year or so, that you wanted to get right from the get-go.
I mean, I think I build up, I build out from the back. And I think for us, being more aggressive in our shape, I think we've, looking at the film on the France games, I think our attacking shape has been very big. And, as I said to the players, initially there is risk with that, because you're asking your outside backs to get very, very high, and you're asked to, your midfielders to set play in there with your center backs and play out. So I think for us, it's being comfortable building, and it's also being comfortable recognizing from deep areas runs that are in. I mean, France played a very high line against us. Japan typically play a high line. So recognizing the movement of our front three, and then I also think just the relationship between the 9 and the 10 was important for me, as far as not occupying the same spaces all the time, and not always having our attacking mid come deep to the midfield, but try and stay more connected to our front three. So, I'm not set on systems. It's more about occupying spaces and players that can do those roles. And obviously we've got a lot of depth, and it's pretty exciting.
And last question, my friend Julie Foudy likes to say when she's announcing that the U.S. has an embarrassment of riches in the attack. Do we have that same embarrassment of riches defensively?
I mean, we've got a lot of talent, and we've got a lot of experience. But I certainly think, and I would say this for the youth teams on down. Every team right now, we need to find left backs. There's a scarcity of left-footed players playing left back, and and typically, even still with our youth teams, we are taking forwards and making them backs. And so, it is. We want to get our backs forward, and Crystal Dunn, Krieger, those players, Kling. We want to get those players forward, but I think we still need to deepen our back four.
Well, Jill, we appreciate your time very much. I don't know if your
Pleasure.
travels will bring you back through Seattle.
Thanks, Steve.
Give me one of those
All
two,
right,
Coach.
there you go.
High
There you
five
go.
all around.
All right, thank you
but
so
if
much.
you do come back through, we'd love to chat with you again and
Perfect.
stay in touch. And obviously, there'll be a little NWSL action next season before the World Cup begins. We wish you all the best.
Perfect.
And we appreciate your time very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jill.
Jill Ellis, head coach of the U.S. women's national team. We're just a couple of minutes away from kickoff here in Seattle. The second half between the Breakers and the Reigns. Stick around. We'll be right back with you. All right, just about ready to get the second half underway here in what is becoming very windy Seattle, as we have notes flying all over the place, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. It was great to have Jill Ellis, the head coach of the U.S. women's national team, stop by as she is continuing her preparations for next year's World Cup in Canada. The only goal in the first half here this afternoon, courtesy of Courtney Jones, a terrific strike in the 19th minute for Jones. Both teams with other opportunities to get on the board. Seattle had the vast majority of those, 4 to 5 really good chances in the first half. Alyssa Nair, though, just outstanding in goal for the Breakers over the first 45 minutes. And Leanne Sanderson, literally with just seconds remaining in the first half, went off the crossbar. She could have taken Boston into the locker room with the 2-goal lead. Instead, the Breakers will begin the second half up 1-0 and hoping to pull off what would most certainly be the biggest upset in the NWSL this season. The Reign in first place with 39 points. The Breakers in last place, 9th place, with just 11 points, only 3 wins on the season. So, Leslie, in terms of, I guess, what we hope to see out of Seattle in the second half, we talked about patience in the first half and need to see if they can follow through and deliver that here over the next 45.
Patience, keep the ball on the ground, combine, and we mentioned it, Jill and I together at halftime, is that, she said they're doing a good job of getting the ball wide and getting service off, but maybe one of those holding midfield players popping into that space to, 1, be able to switch the point of attack, 2, to be able to attack centrally once you get them spread from side to side.
We've gotten a cloud or two out of the way, so the sun back here on Memorial Stadium, Moda Health pitch. We are underway here in the second half. A quick survey of the field. It would appear no changes were made by either club during the intermission.
Seattle coming out and pressing a little bit higher. You see Naho there, putting Pathman under pressure right off the bat.
Some of the stats from the first half: 8 corners for Seattle, 3 for Boston. Seattle had 5 on-target shots in the first half. Boston had 3. Both clubs called for offside on one occasion. Boston with 5 fouls committed in the first half, none for Seattle. A first half goal by Courtney Jones, her 3rd on the season.
And I'd like to see again, Seattle, they right off the bat try to get into more of a two-touch than a one-touch rhythm. Keep the ball on the ground a little bit more. Try to build through the midfield.
Kawasumi.
If I were a betting person, I'm guessing that's probably what Laura talked about at halftime.
Lauren Barnes with some room. Looking for Goebel, a little high on the pass from Barnes. Had Goebel been able to control that, she had room to operate. Good look at Alyssa Nair, no doubt the standout performer in the first half. The two number 10s, Sanderson and Fishlock.
The wind has picked up quite a bit here. Maybe you saw us swirling around, our paper swirling around at halftime, but again, I think it behooved the rain and play into their favor if they get the ball down on the ground a little bit more. Suits their style a little bit better.
Kim Little colliding with Keelan Winters. That led to a turnover. Boston with possession now. And Sanderson is hoping to send it down into the corner in the direction of Jones. Not the touch she was looking for. Fletcher.
Ball on the ground.
Kawasumi.
Ball on the ground.
Goebel and Kawasumi, teammates with INAC in Japan, both on loan. The flip ahead to Little. And Little wanting, or at least hoping.
And the crowd's alive here, and you know, that one is a maybe call, but I will say, ball on the ground, gets Kim in, and causes trouble for the Boston defense and forces them into almost committing a foul, apparently.
There was, at least from our perspective, a clear foul against Sydney Leroux in the box in the first half that should have led to a PK for Seattle, but not called.
Yeah,
Break
that one
for Boston.
On the replay did look like she got her plant foot. The ref didn't see it, maybe thought that she just, I don't know what he thought, but.
Ezerike.
Not today, he said. And now he said it twice.
Molly Pathman coming over for the throw in.
No reason to foul there. You can smile if you're Ellie Reed, because that's what you do when you defend. Because you just grin.
Whitehill. Reed with a header over to Fishlock.
Good possession. Jinx. Oh, nice, Naho. So, good possession by the Reign. Ball on the ground, outstanding
Very good ball
pass.
to Kim Little. She is onside. Leading scorer in the league. Does she get number 12?
Another great save by Nair.
Does not.
So again, possession, build up, ball on the ground, runs off the ball, outstanding work by the little magician to get herself in on goal. And what's been happening all night and continues to happen is Alyssa Nair comes up with a great save.
On the replay, there it is, just getting her left hand on that shot, Alyssa Nair. Ninth corner kick coming up for Seattle. Kawasumi, the drive. Goebel unable to get there. Fishlock, not about the volley. Instead, the drop to Little. Two breakers defending her. Here's Fletcher. And another corner coming up for the Reign. That'll be number 10.
If you're a youth or even a college coach and you want to watch something that, you know, most people don't teach players, but if you just watch, Kim Little rides the tackle like no other. You think she's going to get stripped of the ball. You think she's going to get stripped of the ball, and then suddenly she comes out on the other side with it. She doesn't try to overly kick it. She doesn't do anything other than ride the tackle, gets her body behind the ball, and somehow comes out with it on her foot. She did it again there.
Lou Barnes with a left foot. Ezerike denies. And Cox playing it down toward Fishlock. It'll be a throw in for the Breakers.
Well, Seattle has certainly come out in the second half and started the way that I think Coach Laura Harvey would like them to. Numbers forward, better possession, better movement off the ball, creating opportunities, and now they've just got to find a way to get past Nair.
wind we've talked about is to the back of the rain here in the second half. Goebel looking for Kawasumi, who gets it.
Ball on the ground. And possession outside 30 yards.
It's touched by Reed.
Is where
Kawasumi
Seattle
back to
Reed
Reed.
is going to find
Reed over the goal.
their opportunities. And again, you see it time and time again. When they put the ball down on the ground, they move for one another. They're tough to beat, and they're going to create chances.
Good attempt that time by number 7, and your picture right there, Ellie Reed. Ellie, a former University of Portland standout out of Park City, Utah. Of course, this league littered with former Portland Pilots.
That's something a Husky likes to hear.
Well.
That's something a Husky likes to hear, littered with pilots.
Well, there are Huskies as well. In fact, there's one in goal for the Reign. Kate Dynas as well on the bench, former players for Leslie Gallimore. And this will be a goal kick for Hope Solo. 53rd minute. Good start to the second half for Seattle, but unable to find the back of the net as Alyssa Nair continues to be outstanding in goal for the Breakers.
You know, and you have to understand that Alyssa Nair is one of those players showing here for Jill Ellis. That goalkeeper pool is a fairly deep one, but as you mentioned before, our Washington Husky and Seattle Reign keeper, Hope Solo, has been a stalwart and garnished most of the minutes for the U.S. national team over the last several years. So building that pool, getting experience, and trying to figure out
winners, and Nair again.
For all intents and purposes, the future of goalkeeping for U.S. soccer. That's something definitely on the docket for Jill.
Well, there's physical reactions in which you just are spontaneously trying to deny a shot, and we've seen great examples from Alyssa Nair in that regard tonight. Right there, a decision that had to be made, and she makes the right decision coming off her line to make Seattle frustrated a little more on the offensive end. Kawasumi. D'Agostino. Up ahead to Sanderson. Barnes finding Little, trying to shield off D'Agostino, and Bianca doing a nice job that time. It looked like they'd try to work against Boston in that far side of the field. Needs to get things going. The drop to Fishlock.
And again, just the Reign. This is the game that they're built to play. This is the game they're taught to play and coached to play.
Kawasumi, the goal!
Yeah, just outstanding. Ball from out wide. Possession in the front half of the field. Good numbers forward, good movement. Bev Goebel does a good job to challenge for the first ball, freezes the defender. Naho Kawasumi buries it. Beautiful.
Stephanie Cox with the delivery. Goebel did not make contact, but Kawasumi did. Her 4th goal this season.
And Steph Cox being substituted for Kirsten Dahlstrom. She's going to take her point and assist to the bench with her. And now it'll be interesting to see what Boston can respond with 10 minutes into the second half.
You'll credit that goal as being scored in the 55th minute. The equalizer from Naomi Kawasumi.
And nobody far post. She's basically alone, but makes sure of it. She doesn't try to tap it in. She settles it, and then she just buries it side netting. Nothing Alyssa Nair could have done about that, and that is the type of goal that was going to have to happen to get past Nair today.
So we've seen over the first 11 minutes of this second half. Opportunities coming for Seattle, and finally the ability to make one pay off. Kawasumi, the goal scorer, with the ball. Goebel with some space.
1 and 2 touch rhythm, passing on the ground. They can get in and around this team at will if they continue to play like this. And again, we talked a lot about Boston, their pressure, putting the athletic players forward and trying to press and make the back line of Seattle turn the ball over. But how much steam do they have left in the tank to play at that intensity for the remainder of the game?
Little claiming she was held by D'Agostino.
It was pretty obvious that she was held by D'Agostino, and again, he's just saying not today. That's not the kind of call he's going to make. So I think they can continue to ask for it. Whether they're going to get it or not remains to be seen, but they haven't up to this point. So play on, I suppose.
Winners creating space. Barnes, Dahlstream, who's just come on for Cox.
Good possession by Sid.
And a miss at that time by Dahlstream. Kirsten Dahlstream, who's spent some time, a few minutes this season playing up front, but primarily a defender.
Yeah, she's got good speed, player out of the Washington State University. Played primarily as a forward, as a collegian, but she's got great athletic ability, great pace. Technically, what you just saw is the part of her game that she needs to work on to improve to be a more consistent player on this team.
You can see Seattle gaining more confidence, having more success in terms of possession, playing a more patient brand of soccer here in the second half. Goebel.
And I think this is something at home we haven't seen enough of. What a ridiculous
LaRue.
ball. That's just an outstanding bent ball right behind the defense by Naho. Beautiful.
And again, a job well done by Alyssa Nair.
LaRue just a half a step off of trying to collect that one, but what a great bent ball in behind by Naho. And now Seattle Reign starting to heat up a little bit and play the game a little bit more freely and a little bit more of what they're capable of.
Sanderson punching it back. O'Reilly looking for Ezerique. And Seattle now looking to get things going offensively again. There's Reed. Trying to lay it up for a little bit. Kat Whitehill right there.
And again, for a rookie like Molly Pathman playing left back for the Boston Breakers, she's got her hands full with the Japanese international Naho from the Reign. She's been doing a pretty good job, but as you can see, Naho's starting to get a little bit more of the play, a little bit more of the ball, starting to pick on this side a little bit, and it's been effective for Seattle.
Fletcher drilling it off her teammate Fishlock.
Different kind of set piece.
A painful set piece.
It's the kind of set piece you run when you're like roommates with someone and they don't do the dishes. But usually more when you're like up a goal.
Fishlock was trying to get a quick start going, but a substitution for Boston. Ezerique is coming off. She gives way to Katie Schepfer. Schepfer with a goal this season. So the day over for the rookie, Kem Ezerique.
Making that first change for Boston, leading again number 22, Kem Ezerique, replaced by number 12, Catherine Schepfer.
Here's Goebel with space.
Bev knew it right when she hit it. She's got to do a little bit better with that ball, but great job to get in line.
Foul on Fishlock.
This game and the momentum of this game, the possession of this game is 100% swung to the favor of the Seattle Reign. But you look at the scoreboard, it's still 1-1. Boston, bottom of the table, Seattle, top of the table. The big question is now, how does that mentally start to affect them? Does Seattle have another comeback in them? They've done this time and time again this year. The mental makeup of this team, the fortitude of this team, the resiliency of this team. They just play for 90 minutes, regardless of if they're playing their best or they're not playing their best. Do the losses start to wear on Boston, and do they just kind of wear down as the game goes on? And Seattle, if they really want to go for the throat, I think now's the time.
Ball up ahead to Reed, and she'll catch up with this, and now look for some support. And that is not what she wanted to deliver into that 18-yard box.
It's not. Nellie Reed is a great player getting forward. And again, she's got a lot of minutes under her belt this year. So, you know, the fatigue factor, Ellie will continue to get forward, but just in general, that ball at the end looked a little bit like a tired ball.
Kim Little. Goal kick for Boston. But we're not seeing the Breakers, at least to my eye, putting that pressure on Seattle like they were in the first half, where they were really up in their faces. Seems like they're backed off and
yeah, you can't
give them a little more room
typically,
now.
you know, you can't sustain that for 90 minutes. There was like Jill said at the halftime, it was a smart tactic by Coach Durkin to have them play that way, try to get out ahead, get a goal. But against a team like this, you try to do that for 90 minutes, you're going to have a hard time staying compact yourself. You're going to get countered on. You're going to get spread out. So, you know, they've had to drop back a little bit. Now it's 1-1, and they'd be happy to get out of here with a point. So whether they kind of sit a little bit more and start to press at the end to get a winner will be interesting to watch.
Sanderson. Well defended that time by Barnes. Fishlock looking long for Little. Battling D'Agostino. Kawasumi.
Just her ability to understand what side of her defender is on and to shield the ball. Kawasumi, so technical, so smart in her game sense. And that's just a little thing that, you know, you have to take note of.
Naomi Kawasumi was all about success at the international level, playing for the defending World Cup champions from Japan. They just had a very successful run at the Asian Cup this summer, where they won the championship 1-0 against Australia.
And it's going to be fun to be a Seattle Reign fan and then watch the qualifications as the build up to the World Cup next year. And a lot of the internationals, not just the Seattle players, but a lot of the internationals in the WNSL, to be able to not only watch the US games, but watch their countries compete next summer.
Well, Kim Little, I'm not Scotland's overall picture is in terms of qualifying. I've heard a pretty good chance, but she is such a great talent. It would be outstanding to see that on display in Canada next summer.
Yeah, I think I did look that up recently, and now I'm going to be making stuff up. Someone will tweet it probably, so they'll help us out. But I looked at that about a month ago, where qualification stood. We'll study for next time.
Fletcher. And here's Little with space, and this is where she's extremely dangerous. The decision to play it out to Reed.
Just the ball stuck on her foot. I mean, she's just so difficult to get the ball off of.
Winners. Goebel.
Keelan doing a much better job this half.
Kawasumi, what a move! Plays it back, Goebel! And Boston dodging a bullet. Naho was just one spin away, I think, from launching near point blank range, and that would have put Nair in a very difficult situation.
Game of inches there, but what I was about to say is Keelan Winters doing a much better job as a holding mid. She and Jess Fishlock both this half. Getting into that hole, we're talking about linking the play from side to side, and look how much it's opened up centrally for the Reign in this half.
Foul against Schepfer. Take a look at this play by Kawasumi. And the stumble right there.
She was already going past her to that side to try to get the shot off to the other side netting.
That was Molly
and got
Pathman.
stuck on the top of the ball.
LaRue.
Sydney LaRue tonight, she hasn't been necessarily, other than the ball where she got, the play where she got kicked inside 8 yards, hasn't been that dangerous on goal, but what she has been is very hard working off the ball today. She's been very mobile. She's opened up other things for people on the front line. A lot of unselfish running by Sid tonight. And when you're not scoring yourself, that's what you have to be doing as a forward.
Here's Little. Another throw-in coming up for the Reign. 67th minute, it's 1-1. Austin scoring in the 19th minute. Courtney Jones from distance. Beautiful right-footed strike.
Look, Courtney Jones out of the University of North Carolina is a Bay Area kid. She's a daughter of
Brett Jones.
Brett Jones. He's not calling it tonight.
Calling a dive on Fishlock. At least that's what he signaled. Just trying to make her case. She knows what the outcome will be.
Well, that's the thing about women's football compared to men's football. You know, the dives here are nothing like some of the dives we've seen.
Thank goodness.
In Brazil. And I'm not sure that was, to be honest. You're taught to go down. If you get fouled, you should go down.
O'Reilly, they've gotten away with a bit of a handball that time. Here's Jones.
Good patience by Lou Barnes. Steps in.
Kawasumi to Reed. And Winter's a little firm on that touch, unless she was going for Little. I thought maybe her intended target was Kawasumi, and Nair decides it's time to get this defense regrouped.
Yeah, and Kat Whitehill looks like her calf is cramping. Molly Pathman has definitely been picked on this half. She's a good player, she's a rookie, but I would say that, again, our Japanese international, Naho Kawasumi, starting to get the best of her down this right flank for Seattle.
And here is Kawasumi. And another issue in this second half as the sun starts to set just a bit is Nair dealing with the sun to some degree.
Yeah.
Goebel getting ahead on it. D'Agostino. Winners out battles Mewis. Here goes Little again on the move. Tried to flick it over to LaRue.
Little nutmeg by the little magician.
LaRue. Blocked by Whitehill.
Good
and a
run.
Nice job by O'Reilly to play it out for a throw-in versus a corner kick.
And I talked about it a minute ago. Sydney LaRue doing a lot better running off the ball. Little magician with the nutmeg, looks to flick it between the two defenders and just misses it a little bit. And Sid, again, she needs to get herself facing forward, take her touch forward, as opposed to maybe a square touch to try to get the ball on frame. But it's good to see her in and around the box.
Sierra playing it out.
You see Boston now. They're defensive side of the center circle in their own back half.
And Whitehill cramping up again. She bends over and tries to deal with that. Looks like it's the right leg. Boston's already made 2 substitutions. In the 71st minute, here's LaRue. Looking for Goebel. The touch to Kawasumi. The shot! And it was just wide. But from my perspective, it looked like she may have found the back of the net.
And there's one of the things that you see, Bev Goebel, Naomi Kawasumi having played together in Japan, just the movement off each other, outstanding combination, great squared pass by Sydney LaRue. Reign playing one of the best 45 minutes this half so far, or the best, I should say, 30 minutes that I've seen them play in quite some time, attacking-wise.
And it's been more of the possession, more of the ball being passed on the ground, less of the
50-50
direct
balls
attacking.
in the air.
Yeah. Throw in for Boston. In the end, though, we are still at 1-1. And here comes the final substitution for the Breakers. It's going to be Joanna Lohman coming on and Molly Pathman coming off. So whatever cramping issue, and that's what we think it is, with Kat Whitehill, she'll have to deal with going the distance here.
Yeah, that's interesting for a last substitution, so she is going to have to suck it up. Jo Lowe comes into the midfield. Christy Mewis slides to the left back spot. Joanna Lohman, also out of Penn State University, has played overseas, in and out of the national teams, technical, quality midfielder. We'll see if she can give Boston a little bit more of the possession back that they've lacked this half.
Foul on the Breakers, and this will allow Seattle to consider the opportunity of playing directly into the box. A dangerous situation here. Let's see what Kim Little decides to do. A two-person wall in front of her.
So my friend Kirsten from the Man U fan from Scotland. Scotland's first in their group, but Sweden have a game in hand, but at least they will get a playoff as far as World Cup qualification.
Nobody able to get on the end of that service by Little. And you can see Nair shielding her eyes now, so that sun has become an issue for her. Certainly one Seattle will try to take advantage of. Sanderson. Reeves. Out wide, here's Jones. Bowman drops to O'Reilly.
Oof.
The corner, Sanderson there.
That was tough by Dahlstrom to step out to that ball with a wide player open to give a free cross.
Lohman with the flick over her head, but Solo's there.
Keelan Winters tried to get out to Jones on the cross. Dave, as she's known as. Kirsten needs to do a lot better job of being more patient before she steps out there.
That you can see on those high balls from Seattle, as Boston defenders to some degree are shielding their eyes as well. Tough sun right now in Seattle. 5:41 local time as we go into the 75th minute between the Breakers and the Reign, tied at 1. Jones for Boston scoring in the 19th minute. Kawasumi for Seattle scoring in the 55th minute.
And Boston just happy to give the back half of the field to Seattle. Now Jess Fishlock telling her team, keep it on the ground, keep the ball moving, set the tone, set the pace, be patient going forward.
I mentioned Boston has used all three of its substitutions. Seattle has made just one. Ev Goebel off target.
By a smidge, but well struck.
She is certainly capable from distance. Powerful right leg. Former Miami Hurricane. 3 goals coming into this match.
It's breezy.
Gusty in Seattle, a wind coming off Puget Sound, which is about a mile and a half to our west.
Fans, come on down to the BECU fan zone.
We hope everyone's had a fun and safe 4th of July weekend. And
always great when the 4th lands on a Friday or a Monday, right? Preferably the Friday.
Yeah, that long weekend has been outstanding. It's been a gorgeous weekend in the Pacific Northwest, and just want to again celebrating our country's independence. Thank the men and women of our armed services, and give a special shout out to my son who serves in the U.S. Marine Corps.
Absolutely.
Hi, Zach.
Did he get home to hang out with Mom?
No, he went to Austin, Texas with a fellow Marine for 96 hours, and I think he's back on duty now.
Kawasumi.
Great run by Naho.
Back heels to LaRue. LaRue looking for Little. The goal! Seattle! May have taken a deflection. We'll see if it's credited to Little. If it is, it's her 12th on the season.
Leanne Sanderson and Christy Mewis both arguing with the AR. The center ref's going to come over and card Sanderson. I think they thought the pass that LaRue played in was offside. The offside flag did not go up. I think it was Bianca Serra, I'm not positive, and Nair that collided. That might be credited with an own goal.
Tom Durkin is fired up, pleading his case. Maybe we can get another look. There's Coach Durkin and his staff. Sanderson already issued the yellow card. And we'll see if we can get another look at that goal. Again, I'm not clear yet in terms of tough angle to read offside on that.
That was an own goal. Kim Little definitely putting the pressure on. Nair and I think Bianca Serra colliding.
So that goal coming in the 77th minute. And Seattle with a 2-1 lead. These teams opened the season nearly 3 months ago. Right here at Memorial Stadium, April 13th. It was a 3-0 Seattle victory. The shot, the goal! And Boston comes right back.
Coach Laura Harvey's got Mariah Noguera up off the bench as a substitute. Not sure if she's going to stick with the plan. It looks like she may.
Katie Schepfer, the sub, coming on and striking.
You know, it's one of those tough moments. Very, very, very casual by the Seattle defense. 3 people in and around the ball. She simply turns on it at the top of the box, buries it low far post. Poor defending by the Reign, to say the least.
78th minute, the goal for Schepfer.
So being asked the question, you know, for playoff mentality, we're getting on Twitter, for playoff mentality, how much do the Reign want to continue to have their MO be go down a goal, come back, go down a goal, come back for playoff and championship purposes? I think if you ask Coach Laura Harvey, it's good to know that you can do it, but you don't want it to be your modus operandi.
Well, we'll see now if Seattle can respond. What a second half here in Seattle. Austin went to the locker room at intermission with a 1-0 lead. Seattle, then the equalizer, an own goal, putting Seattle up 2-1 just minutes ago, and then the lightning quick response by the Breakers to get the equalizer at 2-2. LaRue. Denied.
I like it, though. I like the fact
Sierra.
that Sid's facing up. I like the fact that she's trying to take on and be aggressive. That's her game. In the box, running forward, forcing defenders to have to defend her.
Second substitution for Seattle.
So, as we'll see, Mariah Noguera will come on for Bev Goebel. Fishlock will push up into the 10 spot. Kim Little will push up onto the front line, and they'll try to get the go-ahead game winner with Kim Little on the front line.
And so Laura Harvey, Leslie, trying to gain what from this swap?
Attack, a goal. You know, they're going to play to win. They're going to play to win at home, and this is fairly typical and consistent substitution pattern by Laura. Again, to put another holder in, she's got a Mariah Noguera, Kate Dynas that have gone into that position, put Fishlock up into the 10 spot, and push Kim Little up onto the front line where we know she can be dangerous and has scored many goals in that position.
Kawasumi losing control, a goal kick coming up for the Breakers. Boston with 3 goals on Wednesday, the 3-3 draw with Washington, so 5 goals in 2 matches so far. So impressive work offensively. Granted, the first 2 goals for the Breakers on Wednesday, penalty kicks within the first 6 minutes, they still count. And you get those because you're putting the pressure on the defense. So,
you know, and here you find.
There go my stats, Leslie.
Very perfect.
Blowing away.
We're going off script.
Sierra.
Like I have a script, Tom. my man Jack Griffin to the rescue. He's chasing down your papers for you. Well, he's actually not my man. He's my assistant coach's husband.
Have to get him a cool beverage afterwards.
There we go. So what Seattle can't do is get complacent. They've got to tighten things up defensively. You have to be impressed with Boston sticking around. Sanderson has worked and been tireless all match. Heo hasn't gotten to the attack as much as you know she's capable of, and if they're happy with the tie, you probably won't see her get forward that much.
Gulfstream, little strong on that touch, looking for Kawasumi. Goal kick for Boston. Lohman with a header for Boston. Fishlock, winner surrounded by 3 breakers, gets out of that jam and finds Ellie Reed.
Great ball by Ellie Reed. Good idea by Kim Little. She just needed to put a little bend on it, played it a little stiff. But if they press here, they can win the ball in the front half. And again, continue to look for Sydney Leroux running off the ball. Kim Little trying to get in behind.
Fishlock wins the ball. Fishlock goes down. The
What
shot.
a great goal.
The goal!
What a great goal. Great running by Naho off the ball. A little nutmeg by Jess Fishlock. Got fouled, advantage called. 3-2 Reign.
Naomi Kawasumi with her second goal. It comes in the 83rd minute. There's Fishlock, and there's Kawasumi with the finish in a 3-2 Seattle lead.
Yeah, what a great little run there. Great little juke by Fishlock. Smile on Sydney Leroux's face.
We've had 3 goals in the last 7 minutes.
I'd say,
and again, that Reign ability to respond late in matches to adversity.
and here's what can't happen. Get complacent defensively, let Boston back into it, and give them any looks on goal. Great read by Fishlock to pick that one off going back. And again, with the little nutmeg, so skillful. Good movement off the ball by Naho. And now the Reign, 5 to 7 minutes away from 3 points at home.
And let me correct myself from earlier. I think I had miscounted on Boston's substitutions. In the 80th minute, Reeves taken out, and coming on Chelsea Stewart. So Stewart number 17 is on. I miscounted. My apologies for that.
I was just going with whatever you said.
You know, that can be your downfall.
Teamwork.
Counting to 3,
you go down,
counting
I'm going
up
down.
to 3 has always
Yeah,
been a challenge for me, Leslie. So Chelsea Stewart on. And now Seattle looking to protect the lead, pick up a 13th win and move to 42 points atop the NWSL. Little battling and Little committing the foul on D'Agostino.
Well, I don't know if I can get fined or not, but that's just a terrible call, because I was just about to once again compliment Kim Little on the way she gets her foot and her body in and around the ball, and just it's hard to get it off her, and she rides tackles, and she usually comes out on the other side with it. And how that's a foul, I'm not quite sure. But what Seattle can't do now is they've got to step out to the ball and not give Boston any more looks than they've had already.
Headed out by Leroux. Fishlock. Sanderson gets it back for Boston. And under pressure from Winners, the foul going against Keelan, and the free kick coming up for the Breakers. Mewis.
Boston happy to put the ball down on the ground with these restarts. Miscue there between
Schepfer with the block.
Schepfer and Mewis. Reign need to get into the front half of the field, try to kill the game in the front half, not the back half.
Barnes up ahead for Kawasumi.
Naho, who I think has been the player of the half for me, would be a good one to continue to play through.
Good decision by Barnes, playing it back to Solo.
And I'd also say the link between Fishlock and Little will be another great place to have the ball to see this game out.
With the wind at her back, big punt from Solo out to LaRue. Ellie Reed. Pass touched by. You could hear some of that frustration from the Boston bench. They thought that ball should have been theirs for the throw-in. Nagara. Winters for Seattle.
Mariah Nagara with a great aerial presence.
Sanderson looking for some room. Schepfer. And Nagara plays it out.
Good job by Sid to hold possession.
DiAgostino. Whitehill. Finds Schepfer. Very nice ball by Kat Whitehill. Not a good delivery into the box that time by Schepfer. Here's
See Christy
Mewis.
Mewis having trouble with the sun. Seattle wants to get it up into this half a little bit more. Kill out the last few minutes of the game.
Whitehill. Into the 90th minute in Seattle. Danielle Foxhoven getting ready to come on for the Reign.
A nice left-footed ball by Christy Mewis.
And the substitution will be made as Foxhoven comes on. And Nahomi Kawasumi with 2 goals coming off for Seattle. Kawasumi with goals in the 55th and 83rd minute. The first goal tying this match at 1-1, and the second giving the Reign their 3-2 advantage. And Kawasumi on the season with 5 goals.
And she turns, bows to the fans, takes the penny from Foxhoven, gets a big headlock from Coach Laura Harvey, and just an outstanding performance by Naho Kawasumi, particularly the second half.
And not just about the goals. I mean, it was really about her total game.
She played great. Again, a little bit of a lesson for rookie Molly Pathman, playing left back for Boston.
3 minutes of added time.
Game's not over yet. Seattle needs to stay focused and locked in on killing the clock.
And Sanderson gone. That is her second yellow. So for the remaining minutes, Boston will be a player down. Sanderson shown the red, and she will head to the bench.
Talked about her earlier. Leanne Sanderson, tireless worker, physical specimen, doesn't back out of challenges. A little bit of a stomp there, I think. Yeah. Second yellow, earns her the red. Boston will miss her in their next game.
Mewis. Throw in breakers.
Christy Mewis, a player in the national team pool, player out of Boston College. Sister Samantha Mewis plays at UCLA and in the U23 national team, and has also seen some time with the U.S.
Mewis for LaRue was the trade between Boston and Seattle. Heather O'Reilly.
Great job by Dave to stave off Heyo.
Megara.
Not the place you want to start to get careless with the ball.
Whitehill had it momentarily for the breakers. And then cleared away that time by Foxhoven. Here's Little. Kim Little.
She's just so fun to watch. Just the little decisions she makes in and around the ball, how she gets her body between her defender and the ball and holds them off at her size. Her touch, her instinct and sense of where to go with the ball when she has it. It doesn't always turn into something, but it's fun to watch her try.
That Foxhoven might drive that all the way down into the corner instead of giveaway by Seattle. Schepfer needs some support. Mewis. A touch ahead to Stewart. Mewis gets it back. Couldn't quite get it through to Stewart. Ellie Reed right there. And that is it. In Seattle, very entertaining second half that featured 4 of the 5 goals in this match. And Seattle comes away with a 3-2 victory, 2 goals by Kawasumi. And we believe it will be ruled an own goal for Seattle in the 76th minute to put the Reign up 2-1. Kim Little was in on that play. And a very happy crowd here in Seattle will be heading home, having witnessed the Reign run its unbeaten record now to 13 wins, no losses, 3 ties, 42 points, and a 9-point lead over Kansas City for the top spot in the National Women's Soccer League.
Well, Seattle Reign owner Bill Predmore's beard continues to grow. And the Seattle
days are getting warmer.
The days are getting warmer, and the Seattle Reign's lead in the league continues to grow. The halftime adjustments by the Seattle Reign to put the ball down on the floor, to play a 1-2 touch rhythm, to create more numbers in the box in and around, to try to get the ball centrally, paid off. It was clear that that was going to be the way they won this game. Defensively, you would say that Laura Harvey's got to start to talk about some of the goals they're giving up, when they're giving them up, how they're giving them up, because come playoff time, that could be the difference in a knockout, a move on, a championship or not. But what an outstanding game. You wouldn't look at this game and look at Alyssa Nair's performance and think she had 3 goals scored on her. Kept her team in the game early, was tremendous in the first half, had a couple more great saves in the second half, but just weren't able to counter the power and attacking prowess of the Seattle Reign in the second half.
I just saw Laura Harvey walk over moments ago to Alyssa Nair and congratulate her on her outstanding performance tonight. You see 3 goals on the board, but she really came up with some remarkable defensive plays, especially in the first half. But that patience, that buildup you talked about, Leslie, the unrelenting pressure that was coming at her, finally Seattle was able to take advantage and pay off.
Definitely, and you look at Fishlock, Little, Naho, Bev, Goebel, and then you add Sydney LaRue to the mix. Those 5 players alone, from an attacking standpoint, they just, if they can find their swing, so to speak, if they can find their groove, they really should be able to score tap-in goals. God bless you, Tom.
Thank you.
To be able to score tap-in goals, ball or goals inside 12 yards, and be much more of a threat from the beginning of games forward. And we've seen it time and time again. They kind of wait to build up to that and wait until they absolutely need to do it. And I think that's the mentality shift that needs to happen. And I guarantee you, and I'm 100% sure that that's what Laura Harvey's training. That's what she's telling them. They just have to be confident stepping onto the pitch and playing that way from the get-go.
There's just something Houdini-esque about this squad, and that they put themselves in challenging situations. I don't want to say they always put themselves. Look, you have to certainly give credit to the opposition putting Seattle in difficult situations. And Boston, I think, deserves a lot of credit for the way they came out and played tonight right from the beginning. I mean, they gave a very early indication that they were here not hoping to get a draw. The hope was to come in here and steal one from Seattle and bring to an end this unbeaten streak to open the season, which has now reached 16 games. So I know it's very frustrating for Tom Durkin's squad. That call that they felt they should have had an offside call on what we think was the own goal play. You can understand their frustration to come out here, fight so hard, all the adversity that they've had throughout the season, and then to see their record now dropped to 3-11-2.
Yeah, and
you can feel for them, but you can respect the effort that they came out here with
absolutely
tonight.
And again, bottom of the table. They've made some roster changes throughout the year. I don't know much about the Boston organization. I do know Tom Durkin, and I know he's going to try, as I said before, to get it right. Seattle Reign found themselves in a very, very similar position last year, and you just have to try to figure out, one, how to keep your squad together mentally and keep competing. And they've scored 4 goals in the last two games, and that's a positive.
Yeah.
So they need to keep working together. They need to keep their heads up, and they need to understand, they're not going to win the championship this year. They're probably not going to be a playoff team. I don't know if they've already mathematically been eliminated, but it's a situation where you just have to continue to build, continue to grow for the next season. And there's a lot of things that they can take from this game on the road. Again, one of many games they've played on the road, and Alyssa Nair's performance is one of them. I mean, when you have a goalkeeper like that and a team that can play against the top team in the league and keep you out of the back of the net for that long, you're going to win some games, and you have to take things forward and build on those.
Well, the Seattle example is a great one in terms of, Seattle finished in 7th place in an 8-team league a year ago, and here they are 16 games into the following season, unbeaten. When you have a league that's still in its infancy, the ability to go from the lower half of the table to the upper half quickly is there. So again, this might be one of those seasons of real painful growth for the Breakers. From their standpoint, hopefully laying some foundation for better times ahead in 2015 and for the remainder of this season. Still, some things can be accomplished in a very positive manner for this Breakers club to get ready for hopefully a playoff run, a playoff push in 2015.
Absolutely, and that's part of your job as the general manager, your job as the coach, and your job as veterans on the club, or to try to find a way to find the positives and keep your club together and keep them moving forward in a positive direction. And the NWSL, 9 teams, you have to figure out how in any given year it can change so quickly, just like you said. And but back to the Reign. Super, super impressed with their second 45 minutes. I think the fact that Boston was able to come back and get it 2-2 isn't what they wanted to have happen, but you felt really good about the fact that they were trying to play the game to win it, that they were playing the way they want to play, and I thought that the Reign deserved the 3 points tonight, to be honest.
Yeah. There's something about those first 5 minutes after you score a goal that seems to be when you are most vulnerable, and Boston found that vulnerability in getting that second goal from Schepfer to equalize things at 2-2, and then Kawasumi responding just 5 minutes later with a game-winning goal in the 83rd minute. So that'll do it from Seattle here at Memorial Stadium. Quite an entertaining match, especially in the second half. The Reign remain unbeaten. They improve to 13 wins and 3 ties, now with 42 points. For Leslie Gallimore, our entire Bootstrapper crew, the technical folks that make it all possible, I'm Tom Glasgow. Thanks for joining us, everybody, from Seattle.
Thanks, Tom, and let it rain.